Yesterday, we answered the question, who's the best team in the NFC? Let's go to the other conference. What team is the best right now after 10 weeks of the NFL season in the AFC? Interim coach, interim quarterback for the New York Giants, and more on today's NFL Six Pack.
This is Locked On's NFL Six Pack. 6 bold takes from 2 guys who just flat out know football. NFL experts Matt Williamson and Brian Peacock bring pure NFL talk. Great takes, no fluff, just honest football talk. Crack one open. It's NFL Six Pack on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the NFL Six Pack. Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson. And thanks for tuning in and making us your first listen here in the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. So thank you to all the everydayers out there. And welcome to the new listeners. Make sure you're subbed up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. Today's episode of NFL Six Pack is presented by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. All right. So as I mentioned in the open, and as everybody on YouTube can see on the screen there, the #1 bullet point on today's podcast is trying to get to the bottom of who the best team right now is in the AFC. Matt, I think we came to the conclusion that after 10 weeks, we lean towards the Rams with some good competition there in the NFC. Are things as tight in the AFC for you right now? Because I feel like every team in the league right now, aside from about 5 really bad teams, everyone's just kind of fighting to get closer to the middle. The bad teams might be a little better than you think, and the good teams might be a little worse than you think.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And I've been giving this some thought since yesterday, too, that I think we collectively came to the conclusion that Seattle, Philly, Detroit, Rams were tier 1 in the NFC. And then I thought Tampa and Green Bay were tier 2. I would have all 4 of those tier 1 teams ahead of every AFC team. Is that crazy?
That is crazy because there's 2 8-win teams in the AFC in the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos. And the Colts have scored on the Broncos because it was really one of the only good wins on the schedule that the Colts beat a good football team. And it was a 1-point victory all the way back in week 2. The Colts defeated the Denver Broncos. The Colts have the best point differential in the conference, and I'm thinking here in the entire NFL. Yeah, they do have just a little better, 10 points more point differential than the Seattle Seahawks do. And I'm still skeptical, though, just because of the schedule and the strength of wins that the Colts have. They've beaten a bunch of 2 and 3 win football teams. 6 of their 8 wins are against teams that haven't mustered more than 3 victories this year.
Yeah, and I think it's really tough to pick one here. So one thing I said yesterday was I wouldn't put the Eagles at #1. I'd put the Rams, but the Eagles would be my pick to go to the Super Bowl. And some of that was because their division's easier. I know they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be hosting games.
Yes.
Now, this isn't as true for the Chiefs, but if I had to pick a Super Bowl team from the AFC, I would pick Kansas City. But that's not what we're doing here, and they're not even assured to go to the playoffs. And I don't think you could say they're the best team in the AFC right now.
They're in 3rd place in their own division.
Right. I guess that's important, too.
And I kind of skipped over the 8-win New England Patriots. We can't forget about them.
I know.
And as good as they're playing right now, and they've beaten the Bills. Is there too much bias to think that the Bills should even be chosen over the New England Patriots? I mean, they have the ultimate scoreboard right now. You have to take the Patriots over the Bills. And by the way, speaking of the Chiefs, they would not even make the playoffs today.
I know.
10 weeks.
It was just crazy.
5 and 4. They would be the 8th seed currently, just behind the Jacksonville Jaguars for that 7th seed in the AFC right now.
So I've been harsh on the Patriots, and they've won me over. I mean, I think beating Tampa Bay was enough when in a situation where I thought, man, they're going to go backwards, but they're really good on both sides of the ball. And some of their young dudes, namely Henderson, started to really emerge, but also Kyle Williams. It's like some of the young playmakers stepped up just recently. So I think they're in the conversation. I don't think that'd be my choice, but I could make a pretty strong case that New England is the best team in the AFC. They're not my pick. I think the two best defenses are Houston and Denver, but I don't think either one of those is in the conversation. Houston just doesn't have any wins. But both of them, I question the offense too much to make them number one. I think Indy is the best offense probably in the entire league, and their defense is pretty darn strong, although I wish DeForest Buckner was in the mix, and he's out for a bit.
Yeah.
I think my pick is the Colts.
As much as I've talked about, I still am curious about the Colts and watching them play some more football teams. And by the way, they lost to the Rams. So it kind of goes back to what you were talking about. If we're going to pick the Colts as the best team right now in the AFC, and they have lost to the Rams as one of their two losses. They also lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, right?
Yep. Yeah, they did.
And then the Steelers lay an egg the following week. So you can't trust the Steelers.
They're
forward and a step back. And the Steelers lost big to the Chargers. Are we? And the Chargers are 2 games up on the Chiefs right now. So are we disrespecting the Los Angeles Chargers right now?
A little. They were very impressive, especially on defense. I just think their offensive line, it got exposed against the Steelers. I mean, Herbert got the ball in his hands in 2.2 seconds, and everything was behind the line of scrimmage, and I just don't think you can live that way. Now, I do think the Steelers' pass rush is better than most. One other name to throw out there, though, if we're talking about who the best team is right now, do the Ravens have a case?
Yeah, the Ravens. I was going to bring them up as well.
Okay.
I would take the Ravens over the Texans right now. The Ravens at 4-5 would be the 10 seed currently in the AFC.
I'd take the Ravens over the Steelers. I think they're the best team in the North right now.
Can they even get in the tournament?
Well, they play Pittsburgh twice, which is huge.
Yes, right. So that could flip.
Mm-hmm.
You could have a 8-9 win team win the North.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible.
I'll get to. I mean, is anybody? Are the Steelers going to win 5 more games of 7 and get to 10 wins? No,
I don't think so.
I think it's likely that there's an 8 or 9 win team.
What's crazy is if the Bengals beat the Steelers this week, they're right back in it too. And Burrow's practicing, and I mean, I mean, obviously they're not in conversation for best team in the AFC. I mean, their defense is way too bad. I think I'm going with the Colts.
I think it's got to be the Colts, and we're going to learn a lot about the Colts with they have a week 11 bye, right? And so they're not going to play this.
Yes.
Then they have the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the 49ers, and they got to play the Jaguars and Texans twice. So that's
I can already see somebody like clipping the last minute of this conversation and a month from now playing it when the Colts have lost 4 in a row and being like, what were you guys thinking?
Well, I was talking about that while I was watching them play the Falcons, because I don't think the Falcons are all that good. And I'm thinking to myself that this Colts team could be 10-7 real quick. They were able to get that win and get that 8th win against the Falcons. And then, I think that's kind of the thing where you look at, okay, so what do you trust about these teams? The Denver Broncos, I do trust their defense.
A lot.
Defense can go in both directions. The Patriots,
I'm trusting Knicks less and less, by the way.
And I'm trusting the Patriots more and more every single week. They can play.
And a lot of it's because of May.
They can run, like if you're going to get at the run game, because they haven't been able to run the ball well, and they still can't run between the tackles. But if you're going to have explosive plays from Travion Henderson and able to hit the edge in the run game, and I definitely trust Drake May right now. You got a defense, you're well coached, you got a quarterback.
Trust is the right word. I've been skeptical, but now I trust them.
Right, and I'm trusting the Bills less and less. I don't trust the Jaguars.
Yes, but I trust Lamar, Mahomes, and Allen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, the 3 of those guys carry a lot of weight in this conversation.
So I think I would go Colts, Patriots, Chiefs,
Bills,
and Ravens.
Wow, Denver doesn't make top 5.
And then Denver would be right there, but I'm just having more trouble with Denver, man. Me
too. I think Knicks is really handcuffing what they're doing right now on offense. I'll go Colts. I'm shocked I'm going to make the Patriots too, but I'm going Colts, Pats, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens as of how they're playing right now. I think we agree. I think that's the same for both.
So the signature win for the Denver Broncos right now, and man, they've had an easy schedule too.
Mm-hmm.
The signature win is they beat the Eagles on the road in week 5.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a pretty big time win. A much more big time win than the Colts have. The big time win the Colts have is beating the Broncos in week 2 by 1. And but man, you look at the wins on the Broncos schedule: Titans, Raiders, Jets, Cowboys, Bengals. With was that with or without Joe Burrow? When did Burrow go down? That was week 4, 28-3 win over the Bengals.
Ugh.
Giants. So that, again, through 10 weeks, there's so little trust. I think the Patriots belong at the top or near the top.
Let me throw one thing at you here, because all 3 of these teams have the quarterback with superpowers. How would you rank the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills? Not going forward, but where they are now.
Right now, today, I would rank them. I might go Chiefs, Ravens, Bills.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Originally I didn't have them in that order, but when I just look at the 3 of them, if all the quarterbacks cancel each other out, how are you playing? What are you doing well? What am I least concerned about? Chiefs are 1, Ravens are 2, Bills are 3.
When the questions are on the defensive side of the ball for the Bills and the Ravens.
Oh, yeah. But I do think the Ravens' D is playing better and the Bills isn't.
Right. Yeah. At least very recently. But again, that'll change in 2 weeks because that's kind of what's going on with these teams. And it might be too late for the Ravens, but we'll see. Interesting. It's up in the air, man. This is going to be it's going to be a fun end to the season with how these things change. And I think we're going to see a lot of teams making runs up the standings, runs down the standings, potentially in some cases. And I can't wait to watch it all unfold in the last 7 weeks of the season, starting in week 11.
And it's just so much different than the NFC.
Yes. Yeah. The NFC, there's like one extra team that's not going to get in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The AFC, I don't know. There's 10, 11.
AFC, they're like a team short.
Right. Next, New York Giants. Let's go back to the NFC momentarily because a new quarterback is going to take snaps, and it is not Russell Wilson with Jackson Dart injured. Travis Hunter lost for the season, and more in today's NFL six-pack. Today's NFL six-pack brought to you by BetterHelp Online Therapy. And as the nights and the days get shorter, the nights get longer, they come earlier, it can start to feel a little bit heavier at this part of the year. And especially when life is already packed with work, family, everything else that might be going on in your life or somebody else's life. This season, it's so important to reach out and check in with friends, family, and especially yourself. Just like checking on a teammate or reconnecting with someone you haven't seen in a while can lift your spirits. It can lift their spirits. Reaching out for therapy can make a real difference too. BetterHelp makes that first step easier by connecting you with a licensed therapist online from wherever you are. And this month, don't wait to reach out, whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself, because BetterHelp makes it simple to take that first step. Listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon, because taking that step towards support might just leave you wondering, why didn't I do this sooner? All right, getting into the rest of the NFL six-pack today, and let's go to the New York Giants here. I have an interim coach and kind of an interim quarterback here too, and it is not Russell Wilson. It is going to be Jameis Winston getting the start for the New York Giants.
I think he's clearly better than Wilson at this stage of the game. Now, he's more volatile. He's more volatile than just about everybody. We were joking on Locked On Dynasty. We were like, man, the fantasy world just wants Flacco and Winston to be starters forever and ever, because every receiver is eligible with those guys.
Yeah,
and
let's go.
Sling it all over the place.
It might flame out, but you might get that 3-touchdown performance as well. I
don't know if Wilson will be in the league next year.
Oh, really?
I think he's getting to that point. Yeah.
Do you think there was part of it with, because it's odd that Wilson was the guy that was the start of the year, And then Wilson was the guy who came in for Dart when he was hurt. And then now the number 3 guy leapfrogs him.
Yeah.
So do you think that's more about the interim coach and how one coach sees it versus how the old coach saw it?
Maybe the more, I want to talk more about the Giants coaching situation, because the more I've thought about it, the more opinions I've heard, the more I'm in favor of making the move. Because first off, I really think Daboll was doing everything possible just to save his job, not what was best for the team. And Wilson playing it closer to the vest than Jameis, and probably being a more mature on the field player, I think gave him a better chance to squeak out wins and, save his job than Winston, who I just think is better at this point. And I think Winston helps you develop guys.
I can buy the argument if it's a tie, or even if it's not a tie, you want the young rookie quarterback who's a little wild to emulate Russell Wilson than Jameis Winston.
Yeah, exactly. On the field, at least.
Watch how this guy does it, and then take some parts of that. Right.
I get some of that. Now, some other things I wanted to mention about with Daboll too were, I've been very critical of Dart for playing like Johnny Knoxville, but he's also doing what his head coach is asking him to do. A lot of quarterback runs by design. I mean, did the same thing with Josh Allen. I mean, beat these guys into the ground, which is good for him to save his job, but it's not good for the Giants to develop their quarterback and keep him upright and all those things too. So I think he was doing more harm than good, probably for a selfish reason, even chasing him into the blue tent. What are we doing here? And he's also kind of a loudmouth, volatile, on game day, emotional guy overall. And one thing I said yesterday that I kind of regret was, coaching changes in the middle of the year don't matter. They're all going to get fired anyways. Mike Kafka, who's taken over, is pretty well regarded.
He's had head coach interviews himself.
Yeah. A smart Northwestern quarterback that was backup for a while, that just screened coach. And if he can do some good things in these last couple of months of the season, especially with Dart, if and when he ever comes back, or I know he is coming back. I shouldn't have said if. Maybe he keeps the job, and just keeps some continuity there.
Huge opportunity for him to the rare interim coach that keeps the job, and maybe there's some continuity, and if you play well the rest of the year, and Jackson Dart, when he's back in the lineup, which he will be, is showing a lot of signs, and maybe I can.
You don't want to rock the boat for Dart.
I don't love it. It seems to not work. I can't think of a time it worked out great.
I know, it never seems to.
The one I remember the best is the 49ers when they went with Jim Tomsula, and that was a one and done, because he's just a rah guy, and it looked good at the end of the season, and then he ended up getting the job, and it was a lot of weird one and done stuff and just bad coaching decisions.
Recently, the Raiders kept that special teams coach for the next year too.
Oh, right, yeah,
and that was a disaster.
It's not good. It's not a good thing.
But those guys weren't if I don't know, I agree. It usually doesn't work.
Already getting outside
exactly
somebody else's head coach,
and they weren't quarterback whisperers. And if Kafka does good stuff here, he may have head coach interviews elsewhere.
He's interviewing for other jobs, if not the Giants' job too.
Yeah,
so it's a big opportunity for him, and now he'll be able to say, "Look, now I have head coach experience too, and look what I did here, and this is what I learned here, and this is have that in your pocket for those further interviews." And he will no doubt be sought after, if not for a head coach somewhere, to be somebody's offensive coordinator, and a defensive-minded head coach will be like, "Oh, Kafka's the best guy I could possibly get."
I think it's safe to say he'll be a coordinator or better next year.
Fair. I think that is fair. We got to hit some injury notes here around the NFL. I want to start with Travis Hunter. And, man,
this stinks. Yeah.
I wrote Travis Hunter lost season, because it's not that his injury is going to cost him the rest of the year now. He's going to have surgery on his knee. He was going on IR. They thought he might be back after 4 weeks, and now his rookie season is done. And the Jacksonville Jaguars spent a lot. They don't have a first-round pick next year because they traded up to get Travis Hunter. And I hated the plan. I didn't love the idea from the start, because players can't handle playing full-time snaps plus, which is what that sounded like they were going to try to do with Travis Hunter. I don't like the development path of playing a guy on two sides of the ball where he can't dive into one thing. And so I thought they played it wrong. I thought they coached it wrong. And to be honest with you, if you're going to do that, then you drafted it wrong and you spent 2 draft picks on one player. And now he doesn't get to finish his development on either side of the football going into year 2 of his career.
Yeah. And I do think there's some Monday morning quarterbacking involved in that, and I'm not big on, people that say, well, of course he got hurt. He's playing 2 ways. Nobody could do that.
He wasn't playing.
People get hurt.
It wasn't the snaps thing that caused that. I was just my thing with the snaps was what is the end result going to be?
Right.
The end result was the plan sounded like you're going to play full time on one side and some more extra snaps, which is a lot, right? And then the other side of it is you don't have a position at all, which is even worse. And that's not even worth a single first-round draft pick, let alone 2 first-round draft picks. But the way they use him, he was not making an impact on that football team. He had one good game where he kind of got, 8, 9 targets, maybe 10 targets. I can't remember. And that was it.
I think the conversation, and we talked about this on Locked On Dynasty too, was, well, what happens now? Like, my hunch is he'll be a full-time receiver that maybe comes in once in a while, not even like regularly, and plays some man-to-man corner for you, or if you have an injury on that side of the ball, or if it's a playoff game, or, something like that. And is that worth the 2nd overall pick? I mean, unless he turns into Jamar Chase, it isn't.
Did he show? I mean, you could argue, as talented as he was, he didn't show it in college that you would draft a guy number 2 overall, period.
If he never played the other way.
If he was just a receiver.
Yeah.
And did he show over the course of his rookie season, oh, this guy's going to be a problem? I didn't see that.
Glimpses.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw more than glimpses of Colorado. I think he's a special prospect.
He's very talented, clearly.
Yeah.
Right. But being talented and being an athlete, it's like that recruit where what position is he? Oh, he's an athlete.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Travis Hunter is right now. And so development's going to be needed wherever he plays.
No question. And he didn't get enough of it in his rookie year. It's kind of like the JJ McCarthy conversation. It's like, well, you're going into year 3 already, and we don't know what you are. We
don't even know. At least you know what position McCarthy played.
Right. You still know if he's good enough.
We'll see. 2026 is the next time we will see Travis Hunter from the Jacksonville Jaguars, a Jags team that's.
But it stinks. Just as a fan, it stinks. Right.
Yeah, no doubt. Some other injuries around the NFL, including the Arizona Cardinals running into some tough stuff. And let's talk a little bit about the 2026 draft in the rest of today's NFL 6-pack next. Today's episode brought to you by Supply House. And if you are opening, if you are hearing the opening whistle on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House and order today to see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 of those parts, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. And come on, let's be honest, no matter what the industry is, service is something that's fallen out of favor everywhere in the world. And so to have real actual customer service and real people to help you out at Supply House is so important. And you can join the free Trade Master program today to score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. So visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. This episode is also brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Of course, it's NFL season. Things getting real down the stretch here. And if you think you got an advantage and you know what to expect from your football team, there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel. We're talking weekly lines. We are talking player props, season-long props, draft props, which I want to talk about in just a minute. And, of course, the NBA is back now as well. And FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And even if you miss the start of a game, you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks and even same-game parlays. So combine those live bets into a bigger payout. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com and sign up to play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So real quick injury notes around the NFL. And the Arizona Cardinals have had so many injuries recently that popped up this week, and now appendicitis for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Ooh.
This is something you don't see a lot because this is not like a short week or anything. The Arizona Cardinals aren't even having a real practice on Wednesday. They're just going to have another walkthrough because they're so wounded.
Wow.
And they're playing this week the 49ers, who are the most injured team in the NFL. So we might have a level playing field of a bunch of backups playing a bunch of backups this week.
What do the injury reports look like for those guys? Is it just unbelievably long on both teams? I mean, it's like a million
really
names
long.
on there.
Kyle Shanahan was joking this week because after the game, the first thing you go through is some of the injuries. And he's like, no injuries this week. What are your questions? And everyone's like, oh, wow, okay, that's not something we've heard. And then later on in the week, he's like, still no injuries that have popped up from the game that we didn't see on Sunday night. And I don't want to speak too soon, but we might not have added a new injury to the injury report this week. And you might get Purdy and Pierce all back at some point very soon. So the Niners might actually be getting healthier for the first time all year.
Yeah, and we were talking off the air. They could be in pretty good spot for that 7 seed, where I look at the Cardinals and think, I've kind of thought this for a couple of weeks, that the beginning of the end is near for Arizona.
Yeah, you go to Jacoby Brissett, and it's like, oh, nice win. And then you see him play again, and the team starts to prepare for Jacoby Brissett. And you're like, yeah, that's not going to be a thing that's going to, he's a good quarterback, and that's what he is.
Yep, and he always has been, he always will be, and that's fine. But, the more you play in those guys, the more they get exposed. Like, is Trey Benson coming back ever? I mean, it seems like this whole team is just decimated.
Yeah, it's brutal for the Arizona Cardinals. And so, unfortunately, we're talking about a lot of injuries, Jackson Dart and first-round rookies and Travis Hunter, and you don't want to see those guys go down. And Marvin Harrison Jr.,
high pedigree guy,
big-time names. When you tune into a football game, you want to see Jackson Dart, and you want to see
Marvin and all these guys.
Marvin Harrison, Travis Hunter. That's what he was doing in some of the games. And so, speaking of first-round picks, really quick, interesting odds for the NFL draft. And right now at FanDuel, I'm finding it fascinating that Ty Simpson, Alabama quarterback, is flying up the draft boards. And is he actually a true, this might be the number 1 overall pick in the draft? Nobody was talking about it 2 months ago.
Yeah, and I hate saying this because I said the exact same thing 1 year ago and probably many times over the 20 years that I've done this for a living. But this quarterback class doesn't look as good as we thought it was going to, and next year's class looks loaded. We've said that 8,000 times. And some of these top dudes like Moore at Oregon and Sellers at South Carolina, I think are highly, let alone Arch, are highly unlikely to come out in this draft. And all of a sudden, the quarterback group at the top is drying up really quick. Mendoza is the name that's obvious. He's I would have guessed he would have been the front runner to be first overall pick in Vegas. But
he's
Simpson,
number 2 right now. I'm looking at the odds at FanDuel.com, and right now Ty Simpson is 1, Fernando Mendoza, quarterback 2, Dante Moore is 3, and then it goes to Ruben Bain from Miami, Arvell Reese from Ohio State, then Lenoris Sellers, and some of those guys won't even be in the draft. And what's crazy,
I don't know if Moore and Sellers will even come out.
Yeah, and Arch Manning, I don't think Arch Manning will come out either. But Arch Manning's playing as good as any of them now, but he stumbled to start the year.
And so that's what's interesting. That's kind of where I was going with this is if the top of the draft looks a lot worse and there's less competition because some of these guys, Aller, Nussmeier, the Clemson dude, Klubnik, all the guys people were talking about before the season, they're not even in first. They might even not end up in the first round. I mean, they
might not even end up starting for their own college team at the end of the year.
Right. Like they got some of the names fell off in a big way. Now, Simpson has a lot of Burrow comparisons and just in style of play, accuracy, that type of thing.
Yeah, a
lot of these guys. Go ahead.
I went to Mac Jones because he's not as he's going to show up and he's going to be 6'1", 210
right.
pounds.
He's not physically imposing.
Fernando Mendoza listed as 6'5", 225 or something.
Oh, and he is. He's big, good-looking dude. Right.
I might take that Fernando Mendoza bet still, just because you need arm strength and size to make things really feel strong about it. And so Ty Simpson, you have to really, and he looks smooth. And I haven't done a lot of work on the college draft prospects, but he does look natural in the pocket and, maneuvering around, and he's playing like a veteran. He hasn't played a lot of football though, too, which is why he wasn't on a lot of lists to start the year.
That's what I was going to say.
Man, these 1-year starters, let's keep him away from my football team.
Yep. I mean, the recent history and really the history of the league is really showing you got to play a lot in college for me to really back you and have a good chance of success. And that's going to be his number one negative. So does he even come out either? Or does he look at it, like I was saying, and say, a lot of the guys I thought I was competing with for this draft class, I don't have to, but I'll have to compete with them next year. Like the Ohio State kid will come out next year. And
you're not going to be 6'4" next year.
They're not going to be 6'4" next year. So I will have a year more experience, but, And
if you talk to an agent, the agent's going to say, if you have a chance to go in the top 10 of the NFL draft, you come out now and you
do it. Right.
Right. Well, if you have a Manning family advising you, it might be a little bit different. But so it's going to be fascinating. And the other thing is we keep talking about, you're looking at the draft odds. We talked about how the Browns, after losing to the Jets, went from 6% chance to a 27% chance to have the first pick in the draft, right? So it's Browns, it's Titans are very likely to be at the very top. And especially when it comes to teams like the Titans and, the New York Giants, teams that don't need a quarterback. And we're like, okay, well, this is how you build and we even talked about this with the Jets. You might need a quarterback, but get a veteran stopgap, whatever, and maybe add picks and build that nest for that quarterback in the 2027 draft and trade down. Well, is the player there for teams to trade up to get if it's one of those drafts?
Yeah, right.
That's the other part of it. You say trade down all day, but it takes two to tango.
So this is relevant, but it's very Steelers-centric because we all in Pittsburgh think the plan was, and I've been saying this for 2 years, that I think the plan is go get a quarterback in this upcoming draft. Well, for the teams that believe that that are going to do that, especially ones that aren't going to pick in the top 5, I think that's getting way harder than you thought, because I think there's fewer names worth it and there's more teams to compete with. And some of them, like the Jets and Rams, have multiple first-round picks.
That is a perfect teaser for the next episode of the NFL Six Pack, which is our mailbag episode. And we've got some listeners that have an idea about where the Pittsburgh Steelers should go at quarterback. And I think that is a fascinating conversation. And I still want to get to some notes here on the post-deadline trades that did not happen at the NFL trade deadline, and a whole lot more from our listener mailbag. You can always get involved at BD Peacock, at Williamson NFL in the YouTube comments. Make sure you subscribe while you're there. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network #1 sports podcast network.